Good evening and welcome back to Daily Kingdom Channel. Today, Westminster is reeling from a political shockwave that few saw coming but many quietly feared. What we are witnessing right now is not just another bad news cycle for the government. This is a structural collapse. A moment that could mark the irreversible end of Keir Starmer's Labour project as we know it. For months, Labour's leadership has tried to keep one explosive reality buried deep inside party headquarters, shielded even from senior figures within its own National Executive Committee. But that reality is now out in the open. And the person who has forced it into the daylight is the one man openly determined to smash Britain's two-party system beyond repair, Nigel Farage. The news is no longer speculation, no longer rumour, and no longer denial-friendly. Reform UK has officially overtaken the Labour Party to become the largest political party in Britain by paid membership. This is not a poll, not a projection, not a theoretical future scenario. This is a hard structural fact. And it exposes the single most dangerous weakness at the heart of Starmer's government, the rapid, accelerating collapse of Labour's grassroots base. Before we go any further, a quick favour. If you value sharp, no-nonsense analysis of Britain's political unravelling, hit subscribe. The overwhelming majority of viewers still haven't, and it genuinely helps this channel grow. Right, let's continue, because what's unfolding here is bigger than headlines. Nigel Farage isn't just celebrating. He's issuing a warning shot across the bow of the entire Westminster establishment. The numbers alone explain why. Reform UK's membership has surged to around 269,000 and continues to rise daily. That represents a staggering increase of more than 300% since the 2024 general election, when Reform had barely over 60,000 members on its books. Meanwhile, leaked figures from inside Labour headquarters paint a brutal contrast. Since entering government, Keir Starmer's party has slipped below 250,000 members. More than 100,000 people have walked away in under a year. That's not a gradual decline. That's a sustained exodus, the political equivalent of a slow-motion evacuation. Farage wasted no time framing the moment. He declared that the secret was finally out, that Reform UK is now Britain's largest political party, and that this moment marks the beginning of the end for the traditional two-party system. And while critics may dismiss the rhetoric, the mechanics of politics back him up. Elections are not won by press conferences or polling graphs alone. They are won by activists. By people knocking doors, delivering leaflets, organizing branches, fundraising locally, and sustaining campaigns over months and years. For decades, Labour's enormous membership base gave it an unmatched advantage on the ground. That infrastructure was its lifeblood. Under Starmer, that advantage has evaporated. Farage's claim that Reform's activist network is now expanding while Labour's is shrinking isn't just bravado. It's strategic reality. Reform now has more volunteers, more enthusiasm, and more financial momentum, especially after securing the largest single political donation in modern British history earlier this year. Even worse for Labour, this collapse isn't confined to hostile territory. It's happening in places that were once considered untouchable strongholds. Reform's success in the English local elections earlier this year already sent warning signals. But those warnings escalated into something far more serious with the recent council by-election win in West Lothian, Scotland. This was not supposed to be competitive territory. Reform didn't just edge out a win. It came from nowhere and overturned assumptions that had held for decades. The message was unmistakable. There are no safe seats anymore. Neither Labour nor the Conservatives can rely on historical loyalty to protect them. Starmer's response has been silence. Labour officials refuse to comment on membership figures, insisting they don't provide rolling updates throughout the year. That stonewalling speaks louder than any press release. It signals panic, not confidence. A leadership scrambling to manage optics while the foundations crack beneath them. The reasons members are leaving are no secret. Disillusionment with centrist reversals, anger over policy retreats like the continuation of the two-child benefit cap, and frustration at the lack of decisive action on the cost of living crisis have driven thousands away. Many of those disillusioned activists are not leaving politics altogether. They are walking straight into Reform UK. By losing its members, Labour isn't just losing subscription fees. It's losing identity, energy, and ideological coherence. Starmer has hollowed out the party soul, creating a vacuum that Farage has instinctively moved to fill with a growing army of anti-establishment supporters. This is the clearest evidence yet that Labour's crisis is internal, structural, and self-inflicted. And if current trends continue, it won't be polls that end Starmer's project. It will be the collapse of the very movement that once carried Labour to power. And here's the part the establishment truly doesn't want discussed. This collapse cannot be reversed with speeches, reshuffles, or carefully scripted media appearances. Once a political party loses its grassroots, it loses its future. You cannot rebuild trust with people who have already cancelled their memberships, closed their wallets, and mentally checked out of the project. What we are seeing now is not simply Reform UK rising. It is Labour unravelling. Starmer didn't just inherit a divided party, he actively managed it into fragmentation. By prioritising elite approval over grassroots loyalty, he traded long-term stability for short-term optics. And now the bill has come due. History shows us that parties don't die on election night. They die years earlier, quietly, when activists stop turning up, branches close, and once loyal supporters stop believing their voice matters. Labour's current leadership is discovering that lesson the hard way. The real danger for Starmer is not Nigel Farage standing across the dispatch box. It's the empty rooms at local party meetings. It's the volunteers who no longer answer emails. It's the silence where momentum used to live. Because when the next general election arrives, slogans won't knock doors, people will. And right now, those people are no longer wearing red rosettes. This moment may well be remembered as the point when British politics crossed a line it can't uncross. The moment the old assumptions finally broke. And if the numbers continue in this direction, the question will no longer be whether Reform can challenge Labour, but whether Labour can survive long enough to fight back at all. And make no mistake, this isn't a temporary dip or bad news cycle that can be spun away. Membership collapse is the most honest metric in politics because it reflects conviction, not curiosity. Polls measure opinion. Members represent belief. And belief in Starmer's Labour is evaporating at speed. What's especially damaging is that this collapse is happening without a single dramatic policy announcement or national scandal. There was no one fatal mistake, only a slow, grinding realization among supporters that the leadership they backed no longer speaks for them. That kind of disillusionment is far more dangerous than outrage, because it doesn't protest. It leaves. Meanwhile, Reform UK is capitalizing on that silence. Every former Labour member who walks away strengthens Farage's claim that the political centre has hollowed itself out. Reform doesn't need to win every argument. It simply needs to be the only party offering clarity, while others offer compromise dressed up as stability. Starmer now faces an impossible dilemma. Shift left, and he alienates the establishment that props him up. Stay where he is, and the membership drain accelerates. Either path leads to the same destination, a weakened party fighting on multiple fronts with fewer soldiers every month. And when history looks back at this period, it may conclude that Labour didn't lose power to Reform UK, it surrendered it, slowly, by choosing caution over conviction and control over connection. Political movements don't survive that kind of choice. The ground is moving. The structures are cracking. And for the first time in generations, the future of British politics is no longer being decided inside Westminster, but far beyond it.